Horror movies. I've got a few choice words for her. Let's talk.
My baby likes.
Hello, my butter babies. In today's video, we're going to talk about horror movies, a genre of film I don't particularly like. In fact, I can't stand it, and I'm hard-pressed to ever watch a horror film with the very notable exception of a couple of movies that we're going to get into in a little bit. But why am I approaching this topic at all? Well, as some of you know, I started this channel almost a month ago now because I wanted to do a New Year's resolution this year that was fun. The hope was if it was fun enough, I'd stick with it for the entire year. Now, I love watching movies, but because of all the upheaval of the last few years, I hadn't been able to go to the movie theaters like I liked to. So I decided that this year I wanted to go back into the theaters and watch at least one movie a week. And here we are at the end of January, and so far so good. So what's the problem? The problem is January and part of February has become a notorious dumping ground for horror movies. Studios know horror movies tend to be front-loaded and they don't have a lot of staying power at the theaters, so that they need to get in, make their money quick in the first weekend or two, and then get the hell out. Studios also know Hollywood has blown its collective load over the holiday season. Avatar. So competition in January and at least the first half of February tend to be light comparatively. So January is the perfect time to release as many low-budget, front-loaded movies as possible, to make as much money as possible before the tentpoles start rolling in. In January alone, we've seen Megan, The Devil Conspiracy, Fear, Infinity, and You People. That last one was a joke, but I did hear that movie was garbage, which is sad because it has so many comedy heavy hitters in it. Now, I have not seen it myself. I cannot speak to whether it's garbage or not, but if you have Black Twitter tell you, the movie is garbage, and that's a shame because, again, the movie has so many comedy heavy hitters in it that it should be better than it is, if you have Black Twitter tell you. So in February, we've got Knock at the Cabin, Consecration, and We Have a Ghost. Again, that last one is a joke, and unlike You People, it actually looks funny. So January and February are chocked full of this kind of content, which leaves me looking around for other content to watch and review. Take, for instance, this weekend, because the only two new releases this weekend were Fear and Infinity Pool, both horror films. I actually had to reach back a couple of weeks to find a movie I hadn't seen, A Man Called Otto. Now, real quick, it's an okay movie. Tom Hanks, by virtue of being Tom Hanks, pretty much elevates anything he's ever in. Even in that horrible Pinocchio movie remake, he gave it his all when he played Geppetto, and I really didn't hate him in it. It was just a horrible movie. Tom Hanks is one of our acting treasure, and he takes an otherwise paint-by-the-numbers dramedy tearjerker in A Man Called Otto, and he elevates it. So after the movie was over, I didn't hate that I time-sucked 2 hours watching it, but on the other hand, I'm glad I'm a part of the AMC Stubs program, so technically I didn't have to pay for it. Had I had to pay for it, I might have felt differently, because it's definitely a streaming kind of a movie. So if you can, I encourage you to wait for it to hit streaming. But if you must watch it in theaters, you won't hate that you did, because Tom Hanks. 3 butter pumps. So back to this weekend. I had zero interest in seeing the 2 new releases that were out this weekend, so I watched A Man Called Otto instead. A movie I only had passing interest in seeing because of Tom Hanks, but was forced into it because I didn't want to see a horror film. But why don't you like horror films, Stephen? Great question. Let's get into it. First of all, I don't like being scared, like at all. I know that there are some people that get this kind of a rush from being scared, and I get that rush. I understand that rush when I'm on like a roller coaster or something like that. But when we're talking about movies, I don't like to be scared. And there are few things in this world I hate more than being scared. By design, hell, it's in the name of the genre itself. Horror movies are meant to scare the crap out of you. And I can't do it. I don't want to spend half a movie with my hands covering my eyes like this, which really doesn't work because you can still hear what's going on, and the sound effects are just as creepy and gross as what's visually happening on screen. Honestly, if it's scarier than your average run-of-the-mill Scooby-Doo mystery or that new garbage Velma show I'm hate watching right now on HBO Max, I'm out. Which leads us to the second reason why I hate horror movies. And that reason is the over-the-top gore fest most horror movies lean into nowadays. A hallmark of a good horror movie nowadays isn't just that characters get killed. Oh, no, 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 no. In order for it to be deemed good, the way they are killed must be creative and possibly even unexpected in some ways. So it basically comes down to how many different and unique ways can we think of to eviscerate a human body. Not only that, but how can we show it on screen in the bloodiest and most goriest way possible? And I don't need to see that. If I want to see the insides of the human body on the outside of the human body, girl, I just watch a surgery on YouTube. Because they show them all the time. Finally, and arguably most importantly, honestly, most horror movies are horrible. Garbage. A waste of film. They hit all the same tropes and horror movie cliches over and over again, and because they hit all the cliches and all the tropes, they can oftentimes become slash by numbers, and because of those reasons, oftentimes they bring absolutely nothing new or interesting to the table. When I'm not hiding my eyes from all the guts and gore and bloodiness, honestly, I'm bored to death because there's really nothing interesting happening on screen. Now, I know that some of you out there are horror movie aficionados. Some of you love your horror movies, and that's okay. And I don't want it to seem like I'm just crapping all over the genre. I do want to say that there are some very notable exceptions to what I've been saying. There are some horror movies that I've watched in the past that I have actually really loved. There are some classics out there that earn the moniker of classic because of what they brought to the table story-wise, or by the social commentary they're trying to make, or the humor in them. There is something about some of the horror movies that have been made in the past and even in the present that make them stand out and make them unique. I can think of Megan, a horror movie that's a PG-13 horror movie that people are loving because it brings something interesting and new and exciting to the genre. Hell, apparently the gays are going all up for this particular movie, and more power to you horror movie gays out there. I will leave Megan to you. So there are some movies out there that rise above, and for my personal tastes, I have to say the first Nightmare on Elm Street kept me up for days, and that is not an exaggeration. I was up for days after I saw the first Nightmare on Elm Street. The first Halloween movie, which technically isn't a slasher film by any stretch of the imagination, but still is a genuine horror film, is one of the best horror films I've ever seen. The first Friday the 13th was genuinely good. The first scene in the very first Scream movie is the most disturbing piece of cinema I have ever seen, hands down. Every Halloween season I try to binge a season of American Horror Story. So it's not as if there haven't been good horror movies out there, and it's not as if there aren't any really good horror films out there even today. Megan, as I said. There have been plenty, and there will continue to be plenty that raise the bar as far as the genre is concerned. I just don't like being scared. Which brings us to this coming weekend. We have 2 new movies coming out, Knock at the Cabin and 80 for Brady. Here's the thing. On the one hand, we have 80 for Brady, which looks like a garbage movie. And I hate saying that because it stars Lily Tomlin, Sally Field, Rita Moreno, Jane Fonda, and Jane Fonda's wig. I have a feeling, and I don't know this for sure, but I have a feeling that that's a cancer wig, and that kind of ties into the story at all. I don't know that for sure. I cannot prove that, but I cannot figure out why on earth Jane Fonda would agree to put that Party City Spirit Halloween wig on top of her head unless her character has cancer or something like that, or she's losing her hair, she has alopecia. So you've got 4 actresses, legendary actresses, and one very unfortunate wig all in a movie together. It has the makings of a phenomenal good movie. It looks phenomenally horrible. And I hate saying that because I love all 4 of those women. Those 4 women are legendary. And then on the other hand, we've got Knock at the Cabin, written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. It is literally a crapshoot when it comes to M. Night Shyamalan. You never know with his movies what you're going to get. You don't know if they're going to be good, bad, or mediocre. And unfortunately, most of his films these last few years have really leaned into the mediocre to bad column. The trailer, however, looks really good, but the trailer for most of M. Night Shyamalan's movies looks really good, and most of his movies aren't. Plus, again, I don't like being scared. So, which movie am I going to see this weekend? Honestly, I'm really leaning toward going to see A Knock at the Cabin, just biting the bullet and, looking at it like this, and seeing A Knock at the Cabin. But you know what? At the last minute, I just might chicken out and I'll go see Four Queens and An Unfortunate Wig act the hell out of a really bad movie. We'll see. All of this is to say, if you're looking for me to review the latest horror movie to hit the multiplex, odds are it's not going to happen. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to go back into the recent archive to find something else at the multiplex to watch and talk about in this channel. Now, there will be some exceptions to this rule. And honestly, during the Halloween season, I'm kind of toying with the idea of watching and reviewing those old monster alien B movies from the 50s and 60s. Those are always really, really fun, and they're not scary at all, especially by today's standards. I'm just not trying to be scared up in here, girl. So that's it for right now. So let me ask you, are you a fan of horror? And if so, what's your favorite horror movie? And what genre of movie do you refuse to watch and why? I want to hear all about it in the comments below. Thanks for watching, you guys. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.